I am beyond. It's potty time. Don't be a lemon.
Be a rosebud.
Alright, now it's some serious review time. So, of course, yours truly, the Punisher, once again reviewing Raw, and later on, Beast will be reviewing SmackDown. So, just to go over a couple of things, like last week, to start off the show, Stephanie McMahon, Mick Foley, Owens, and Jericho all had their little typical argument going on. However, Stephanie brought up at one point saying, it's a disgrace that SmackDown beat Raw in the ratings. Well, Steph, you know what? Maybe if your father and creative team had booked Raw a hell of a lot better, maybe your show would have beat SmackDown in the ratings, but that's all on you guys. But if you continue to keep booking like this, eventually you guys are going to see the bigger picture of what's wrong with Raw for you to finally do a complete overhaul with it. But anyway, as far as last week was concerned, nothing major happened, just the same typical matches, same typical feuds, all that fun stuff. But anyway, so last week when Sasha came out to interrupt Nia Jax's match to prevent her from becoming the #1 contender, they're trying to say backstage she's not over with the fans. Well, my question is to you, how can you explain it when you have a bazillion fans cheering for her and getting a big pop when her music hits? Obviously, what you're saying disproves the reaction she's getting from the fans in the live crowd, but whatever, guys. Again, like I mentioned before, you all dropped the ball with her back at WrestleMania last year, so let's see if we can maybe turn things around. Either if she's still a face, becomes a heel, whatever you call it. So anyway, now on to this week's wrestling. And like I mentioned, unfortunately it was still a slightly more boring show. However, there was some exciting moments in there. We saw the return of the Dead Man, along with Mr. HBK himself, Shawn Michaels. And you know what? Those were two very interesting segments that I liked. However, my only beef I had with the whole thing, just for them to waste more time for Undertaker to finally show up, is they do a randomly unannounced performance review for Mick Foley because he couldn't get The Undertaker out, only for it to lead to The Undertaker coming out. Undertaker segments were always phenomenal, and in this case, it was another phenomenal segment addressing the WWE Universe, mentioning he'll be in the Royal Rumble, all that good stuff. Similar to HBK coming out here to promote his movie and so forth. A great appearance by HBK, and you know what? Those are the two best things out of the entire show of Raw. Oh, however, some unfortunate boring stuff that we saw was the same old boring stuff between Nia Jax, Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley. However, one thing I didn't quite understand was when they attacked Bayley and Sasha backstage, and Nia Jax charged at Charlotte after the beatdown, but then they made a tag team match, and then them two all of a sudden randomly got along. So how does it make sense that you show tension between them two backstage, but then they're on the same page in the tag match? I understand they both want to beat down their rivals on TV, but whatever, there's just some things you cannot explain. And then in our main event match, we had Roman take on Owens and Jericho for the United States Championship. Overall, not a bad match, but unfortunately it's still a little bit boring, the fact like this whole best friend storyline it's getting really stale now. It's like the same thing we're getting every week over and over again, and then even after Jericho won the title, it didn't seem like anything exciting with it. Of course, there's some typical anti-Roman fans that are like, oh, I'm glad he lost the title and stuff. As far as I'm concerned, I still like the guy regardless if he has a title or not. The way he lost it was a little bit blah, to tell you the truth. This may lead to him winning the Universal title at the Rumble, which will probably lead to Owens and Jericho fighting at WrestleMania, but who knows really. But I just hope whatever they do with this whole storyline with either Roman, Owens, Jericho, just try to find something meaningful to do with this whole thing, because unfortunately I'm not buying into as much as the writers want us to buy into it. But anyway, I know their whole ball game there, so alright, now that I'm done reviewing Raw, now it's the time for the Beast to review SmackDown. Yes?
Yeah! A1 showtime.
Don't ever touch me.
Probably sure a little testy. Alright, you guys. Last week, we'll just play simple. We took a break, but Happy New Year's and all that. Hope you guys had happy holidays. Just make sure you guys got that out the way. Now let's move on. As well as the last week with wrestling, SmackDown was definitely dope to find out, you know, we finally got some ratings over Raw, and hopefully we'll continue that like that so that we'd be number one show. Shouts out to Funaki. Alright, so last week, the only news I'm going to give y'all from last week is the fact that the lunatic French himself, one of my favorites, Dean Ambrose, has won the Intercontinental Championship off of The Miz in the main event. And that was dope. With Maurice getting thrown out the ring, that was awesome dope. I'm telling you, that was a great main event. But let's now move on from last week and get on to this week. Now, last week, I wish I was able to tell y'all, but I'm going to start using my phone now. I do too much. My mind goes off a little bit too much. So we're going to keep on track for me and you. You know, viewers that love the host. The host loves the viewer. You know, everybody's helped. Everybody's happy. Okay. Let's kick off the night with the Ambrose Asylum with our new Intercontinental Champion, Dean Ambrose, with his special guest, The Miz. Now, you know, it was pretty good. The Miz come out crying again. You know, the title is a disgrace. It's not prestigious no more. But Dean has another award to give to him in return. A participation award. The same participation award that he gave Dean, what, like a month or two back? Jeez. Well, at least he kept it nice for Miz. Then, of course, Miz got mad, attacked Dean. He tried to set up Dean to get slapped by Maurice. Maurice missed and slapped her husband, just for Dean to end up dropping her husband with the dirty deeds. It was a great transaction. Great little storyline. The rivalry seems like it's coming good, and that's the way I like it. Now, The Miz is now saying he's in the Rumble. I'm telling you now, Miz ain't going to win. Unless Maurice is going to be there to toss off every person out the outside of the ring, that's the only way in the world The Miz is going to win. But moving on. Next up, we had Nikki Bella taking on Natalya, which ended up in a no contest brawl. Now, the rivalry is pretty much what you could think. Jealousy means hatred, means let's beat up on each other. So, before they match, Natalya decides to jump Nikki Bella. So Nikki Bella decided to say, hey, I'm just going to run out to the ring and attack you, Natalya, which is what happened. Pretty much it came out to a big old brawl with no contest. Everybody had to pull off each other. It made both of them look strong, and I'm not really into the rivalry, but it gives a little bit of interest, you know, makes you give a little wink in the eye. Next up, we got Kalisto taking on the new heel, Dolph Ziggler. That was another good thing about last week with Dolph Ziggler that I should have mentioned. He turned heel. The greatest turn that we needed at this point. So, in the match, it was actually a really good competitive match. This was one match that showed an example of why SmackDown is so much the wrestling show. Because the match was actually like good wrestling-wise competitive, and Kalisto came out with the win just for a mad Dolph that just can't get a break to just attack him, and he starts attacking him with the chair over and over. And guess who comes out? Apollo Crews. And you know what happens after that? He gets hit with the chair, which leaves Dolph out. Dolph walks out pissed. He just attacked both guys with the chair. I hope Dolph gets some type of weird push with his heel side. I hope this heel side means that Dolph could finally start winning something and start doing something rather than just being the guy who gets an opportunity and then drop the ball. I've been over this before. I don't want to do this again with Dolph. I really don't. Next up, we had the Tag Team Championship rematch with American Alpha taking on the Wyatt families. Now, I know what you're thinking, it's not really a rematch because it's a fatal four way, but you know what I mean. Shut up. Anyway, in the match was really nice. There's been a lot of good key points. The American Alpha actually looked pretty strong for current champions at the moment. And what was so interesting was that throughout the match, Luke Harper was secretly just slipping in each time to just piss off Randy Orton over and over again, to where the end of the match ended out with Randy Orton getting distracted with Luke Harper getting into a little like altercation, I guess, just for Randy Orton to get rolled up and American Alpha to retain the tag team championships. Now, I'm happy American Alpha's champions. I'm not happy with the fact that you guys are trying to break up the Wyatts already. Look, I understand. Bray, Randy, Luke, it's a dangerous force. All three men are dope as hell. Why not keep them together? But already it seems like they're ready to just break them up. Please stay together a little bit longer. Somehow work it out in some weird way. If anything, drop Luke, let Luke go solo. Let the Wyatts be literally just Bray and Randy. And either way, it works out in that way, or instead of just expanding them all. But this is not the Rant Show. This is not the Kevin Owens Show. This is the number one show, SmackDown. Once again, shouts out to Funaki. Afterwards, we just got our announcement from the GM, Daniel Bryan, that there is going to be the first ever SmackDown Women's Championship inside a steel cage next week on SmackDown. Now, I know what you're thinking. Couple of haters. couple of haters. And I know what you're thinking, why did I say that? Because SmackDown is now going to have to come after Raw with the idea of putting women inside cells. Now, I get it. You know, it's the wrestling show, live it up. Go inside a steel cage. I just don't know how much this is going to follow up from the fact that we had a Hell in a Cell with Charlotte and Sasha, and it was the main event of the pay-per-view, which was in themed Hell in a Cell. So, I don't know how this is going to follow. I hope this is really good, but I bet money, La Luchadora, Dore, I don't care if I mess it up, I'm keeping it. That chick is going to be in that match, and I'm pretty confident about that. She's going to be somewhere in there, because from last week, she pretty much showed that her alliance is definitely with Alexa Bliss. Next up, Carmella taking on Jobber, and I'm going to read this out because I don't like calling people jobbers all the time, even though they are jobbers. CJ Loon. Please tell me I didn't mess that name up. But of course, it was your typical squash match. CJ was actually looking good for a second, but it was all about Carmella and Ellsworth, or Carm Ellsworth. Pretty much, it was your typical jobber match. It looked good, and for some reason, I don't know why James Ellsworth was just so quick to want to start doing heelish acts. Like he was distracting the jobber. He was trying to pull out the jobber. Like he was doing everything that he needed to do except for hitting her, and I guess I could go with that, but. Here's my thing with Ellsworth, and I'm just going to make this fast because I already made a past rant about this guy. The guy says he has a family with kids. Enough said. Why the hell are you with Carmella? Cheating bastard. I don't care, that's cheating. And last but not least, I'm going to be honest here. I'm trying to catch up to SmackDown as best as possible before the episode. I caught up to everything but the main event. So I don't know what truly happened, and I don't care, I'll drop the phone. I don't know what truly happened between John Cena and Baron Corbin, but from what I looked up and from what I found out, John Cena has won the match with John Cena fashion, and that's about all I'll say for that. Hopefully by next week I give y'all a little bit of detail about that one match alone, but by next week we'll be caught up. So hope you guys like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and this is the High and Beyond show. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.